Okay, so for this next tutorial, we're going to be doing a sunburn demonstration. So for this, for our base tone, we're going to be using our super red colour to really blend it into the skin. And then we're going to be going over that with some of our Illustrator FX colours, using mostly our prime red, burnt orange, and blood tone. So as you can see, our model is wearing sunglasses. The purpose of that is we're going to use that as a marker to create the shape and then take them off. And we're going to be going around the edges with our reds so that it gives it a contrasting colour. So to start, we're just using a little bit of translucent powder on our brush. And all we're doing is using our sunglasses as a marker to roughly where we need to put the colouring. Once we've got our markers, so we can see our rough shape on where we're creating. So to start with, we're just decanting some of our super colour onto a tile so that we can use it on our sponge. So taking a clean sponge, using our rough end, just simply getting our super and dabbing, turning it as we're doing it so we can get a nice even coverage. So the reason that we're using super to start is because it's a grease base, it blends a lot easier onto the skin and can build a really nice easy contrast. So just going anywhere where our marks have already been started and starting to shape our look. So as we're fading away from our high points, so our cheekbones, the top of our nose, and the top of our brow are our high points. From there, we're slowly fading the colours back and subtly off. So around the nose and around the top of the cheekbones, we want our reds to be very strong. So just using the clean end of our sponge to blend any hard colour out. So you can see there's a few little block colours starting to form. We'll just use a clean sponge to blend it out. If we use the other end, all we're doing is applying more product. It's not going to actually blend. Making sure we're getting the sides of our glasses in as well. We don't really need a template for that, just something as roughly as thick as the edge of the glasses. So for the top of the lip, we're going to take a little section underneath the nose out. Because it's a high point on the nose, it creates a shadow underneath, as you can see when the light's hitting it. So we're going just above the top of the lip, not all the way to the back. leave that section for our sunglass mark. And then blending around it. So once we have our super layer on, we can start with our alcohols. So to do that, we'll be using our Illustrator FX palettes. We're going to start with our prime red, adding in our burnt orange, and then over the top at the end, we're going to add a little spatter of the blood tone. So breaking down with our isopropyl alcohol to activate our paint. And again, we're using our little brow brush. We do like the spatter effects that it gives. It looks a lot more natural. You can use a sponge if you like, if you don't have access to something like this. Just using the rough edge of our sponges to create different textures. So breaking down with our isopropyl alcohol. And then getting your model to keep their eyes closed because we are using alcohol around the eyes. We don't want any going in their eyes. So we're just going to start layering small amounts. Starting around our closest points where we want the harshest colours first. You don't want big spatters, we only want little fine spatters to start, which is why we're using the brow comb, not a brush. So it's adding a little bit more paint and breaking it down again with our isopropyl alcohol and continuing around. So if you get a little bit of a hard colour like this, just simply use your finger and blending any of the excess paint in. Starting to really build the colour up around the edges now. So cleaning our brush, taking any of that paint off, just using a wipe, and any alcohol to clean any excess paint. Now we're going to go in with our burnt orange, start adding a little bit of colour and contrast. Again, breaking the paint down, making a nice wash tone with our alcohol. Starting to fade our colour down now. Making sure we're going right into our hairline as well. Really focusing on the nose with a lot of our hard colour, making sure it's really standing out and very contrasting against everything else. So this would be one of the most affected areas because it's one of the highest points on our face. So as you can see, when we're starting to layer more of our burnt orange into our colours, starting to settle all of our colours around a lot more and bringing the tones down. So now we're going to go in with a little bit of our blood tone around the edge of the nose, a little bit softly around the cheeks to help bring some of that colour back. And then we'll strip out the last layers of colour from the inside to make sure that we have a nice clean lens look. So this spattering with the blood will help to make this top of the skin layer look as if it's been burnt away. So depending on how far or how burnt they are, the stronger the colour levels will be. So to finish this look, we're going to go back in and take out some of our spatter. So you can see it's gone a little bit higher up than we needed. So we're just going to take away some of that. So just using alcohol and a wipe, just simply wrapping it around your finger. Getting your model to look up so we can get into the eye line. Again, being mindful that there's alcohol on here. So give it a few seconds for the alcohol fumes to evaporate before starting. So if we can see, a lot of our top look is very red. Around the high points of our face is where the sun's going to be hitting most as it's coming down. So underneath the underside of the chin, underneath the top of the lip, won't have as much exposure. The top of the lip and the top of the edge of the chin will have as much though. So we'll go back in and add a little bit more over that. So for that, we're just using a little bit of the burnt orange again. So for the top of the lip, I'm just going to use a little stipple sponge, just to add in a little bit more texture. Then just taking it up a little bit higher for our sunglass mark. And getting rid of any excess spatter that we've just put back on. So just look up. So that would be a sunburn look.